going on, y'all? It's your man Mike Deloach. Those of you out there in New Mexico, you may know me as Joe, Joseph, Mike, Money Mike, Mellow Mike, whatever it may be, But we're coming back to you with some more content about black men in New Mexico, or for black men in New Mexico. And today's video, we're going to discuss black is the minority, and the how and why I ended up in New Mexico. I briefly touched on where I was from. Again, I'm from small town, Meta, Georgia. But one thing I want to touch about here, and it's even with Georgia in general, is the demographic. Just in the Bible Belt alone, the demographic is mostly black and white. Don't get me wrong. Whenever I was in high school, you had a few Mexicans, Latinos, and I guess Hispanic is not really the appropriate term. However they choose to reference themselves. We had a few of those spots, so they were the minority. In Georgia, here it is, that dynamic has shifted. So whereas, black and white may have been the majority in the South, when you get on the west of the Mississippi, here for example, New Mexico, black is definitely the minority, as well as white. White is a minority as well. And here with the demographic, you have a high demographic of your Mexicans and your Latinos, or Spanish, and even here you have the Native Americans. But not to get too far into those, but basically black is the minority. This was definitely a culture shock for me. And we're gonna make a video specifically about culture shock. Here it was, I was so used to being in this environment where, like I say, you see black people everywhere, black people working everywhere. And now you got Mexicans everywhere. It really didn't hit me until I kind of got into the work environment and I actually started going to school, and realizing like, dang, it's not so many of us out here, you know what I mean? It was kind of bittersweet first moving out here, being young and, and ready for the world, you want to go out and you want to explore. So just being in school and being in the work environment, anytime you did run across another black person, it was kind of, I won't say easy to connect, but you were definitely more inclined to go up and talk to that person, see if they're from here, and chop it up with them just to try to find that common ground, because that was more or less what I was used to. Like, that was my comfort zone, even to the point when, started hanging out with women, got around those select few black women that, I knew, or, would try to hang out with them, because, again, it's not so many of us. My comfort zone is with that type of woman, you know what I mean, as far as communicating and having that sense of understanding, even in the work environment, like say you run into somebody at work and you would want to, kind of, hey, get to know them or whatever. It's not so many of us out here. So at first that was definitely, I'd say a barrier, but that was definitely something that I had to overcome. At a certain point, I was kind of boxed in as far as seeing that black was a minority, but at the same time feeling that, shoot, did I get myself in a position where I'm gonna be limited because black is quote unquote the minority, I say that because at a certain point that was the only thing I was looking for. It was almost like, like I say, you had something for so long and then it's like you take it away. It's almost like, let's say a addict dealing with withdrawals. It's like you're gonna keep kind of keep going back to that until you wean yourself off or whatever. You know what I mean? I had to understand that, you know, we are the minority, and if I don't break out of this box, I'm gonna continue to limit myself. Us being a minority is not necessarily a bad thing. Now, one thing I haven't been able, or I haven't taken advantage of, is opportunity for black, because nowadays within jobs, you know, being that black is a minority, they know most of the people that are hired on are going to be of your Mexican descent or your Latino descent or your Spanish descent. But meanwhile, just due to, you know, diversity and inclusion, they're going to have a certain percentage of, you know, these black people that's within the workforce. You know, that could work to my benefit, and maybe in times it have worked to my benefit, because, you know, I've worked at a decent paying job where, you know, it's not so many black people in there, you know. But let's go into some of the blacks that are out here, you know, and maybe why they're out here. And keep in mind, you know, sports, black people are very, very athletic. Some of the guys that I have ran into have been out here due to, you know, sports scholarships, because, you know, they were right next door in Texas, or maybe Arizona or Missouri, or even Mississippi or Louisiana. They're not too far, just a couple states over, and they've taken the opportunity to come out here for sports. You know, you do have some black people who were born here and born and raised, you know, and some who've been out here for most of their life, you know. And I've met a lot of people from California, Texas, Colorado, you know, but a lot of black people that I have met from here are not from here. You could get that potentially in like Atlanta, some of these other bigger cities, potentially have that majority of black. The whole East Coast is, you know, where you're gonna find most of your black people, you know. So you may get people in Atlanta that's from Virginia, or from New York, or, you know, from Florida, or from the Carolinas. Here's, like I said, you got people from Texas, Louisiana. You got to think Louisiana had Katrina in 2006. I moved out here in 2008. So, you know, after Katrina, you had a lot of people move from Louisiana. I won't say a lot, but you had some people from Louisiana relocate to New Mexico and things like that. You know what I mean? I got a few cats that I know from Louisiana, and a few cats that I know from Texas. Shout out to all my players out here in New Mexico that's from Louisiana. Y'all know who y'all is. All my player partners from Texas that's out here in New Mexico, you know what I'm saying? Y'all know who y'all is. And, you know, I've ran a couple cats from New York, you know what I mean? My New York cats, you know, y'all know what it is. They still keep that New York swag. Even out here in New Mexico, same thing for my cats in Texas and Louisiana. They still keep that, you know, that southern thoroughbred. They still got them in them, you know what I mean? And like I said, even to the New Yorkers, you know what I'm saying? They still thoroughbred New Yorkers, you know what I mean? But in California too, you know what I'm saying? In the Bay Area, I done met a couple cats from Cali that's out here, you know what I'm saying? I even got a little partner from North Carolina that's out here too, you know. But we all out here, you know what I'm saying? Even though we may be the minority,